question is, can this work with an interest only payment loan?
All right, sir. Listen, let me tell you something. Hands down, hands down, the very best loan that you can get is a loan where you pay zero interest. That's the best loan. You know what the second best loan is? An interest only payment. Doggone it, I love those. So now, can you imagine, sir, Omar, why I would love to have an interest only payment?
Not sure. I'm waiting to hear.
Oh, you're not sure? Okay. So let me show you what we're talking about. So what I have here on the screen now, all right, I still have the same loan of 302,000 at 3.5%. And guess what? In my summary, it gives me the interest only payment, which would be $1,356.11. When you have a principal and interest payment, guess what? The amortization calculation determines how much money you pay in principal. All right. And in this case, the interest only payment is $880.83. So let me back up. Interest only payment is $880.83. So when you take a look at payment number one, which is $475 going to principal, $880 going to interest, this money goes to your principal and the $880 goes to interest. So how do you understand, sir, Omar, that the interest only payment means that the bank is doing a calculation and based on how much you owe, your payment is this. It's going to be this much because it's the interest on the amount that you owe, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. So more people, what they do is they'll make an interest only payment and then they'll cash out refi sometime later, blah, blah, blah. They'll do that. But guess what? We can make some headway on this loan. Now, when you have this interest only payment, you are now in charge of how much money you put on principal. That's why I love them. We're going to take a look at your loan. We're going to take a look at all of your finances and find out how much money you have in reserve that's just sitting in the bank doing nothing. How much of that makes sense to put towards this principal payment and save the overall amount of interest you would pay on how long you plan to stay into the loan. So if you're going to cash out refi at a certain point, you're going to keep it long term. You got an exit strategy that I'm going to be out of this whole deal in 5 years, no matter what it is. You can now figure out how much interest you can save to acquire not only the same amount of assets or to get to your exit strategy. There's going to be a certain amount of interest that you've got to pay to get to your exit strategy. So if you can reduce the amount of interest that you pay to get to your exit strategy, now that money can now be invested as well. So here's what we're talking about, sir. Payment is $880.83 a month, every single month, if you just pay the principal. Now, let's just say, just pay the interest. Let's just say we can put down line 12, $5,795.71. So instead of owing $302,000 on this loan, guess what, Omar? I now owe $296,204.29. Based on what you just said, does the bank now have to give me a new interest only payment because now I owe less, Mr. Omar?
You asked if they have to?
Right. So they base your payment on $302,000, right?
Correct.
Well, now you only owe $296.
Right, right.
So if you're paying interest only, then they have to only can charge you interest on $296,000.
Right, right.
Now your payment is $865.
Yeah, I read your book literally in a day and a half. It was an awesome read. I appreciate you.
All right. So now, if you are in control of this thing and you've got an exit strategy, okay, on 5 years, all right, that's 60 payments. And listen, I've got 60 payments at $880 a month. Okay. Boom, 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 boom. Okay. So 880 6.83 times 60 would give us 52,849.80. Let's say my exit strategy is to get out of this thing in 5 years and I'm just going to pay my interest only payment. Okay. In 5 years, you would pay $52,849. So if we take a look at 60 payments here, if I had a principal and interest payment, my interest payment would be $50,252 because I'm putting more money on principal every month. Well, what if you are in control of how much principal you would pay? Instead of the bank telling you how much principal to pay, you could pay a lot less interest than the $50,000 the bank would normally want here at this interest rate, or the $52,000 you would pay if you were just paying the interest only payment for 60 months. Are you following me, sir?
I am certainly following you.
Okay, so now what we want to do is figure out whatever your exit strategy is. Let's find out what it would cost you doing it the bank's way. And then we can contrast that on how much it would cost you doing it the P.I.L.L method way. And then we can come up with a strategy so that you can have more of that money you would normally pay to interest. Boom, you can use that money to put towards building your generational wealth for your family. Because I heard the little ones in the back say, Daddy, stop spending all of our money on interest.
You're right. Yeah, that's my whole thing. I come to these rooms and I listen to a lot of you guys in Queens. And, that's my whole thing, striving to build generational wealth and changing the dynamics of my situation, or our situation, rather.
But do you see, sir, what has been going on for the last 88 years is that real estate investors who have been doing a fantastic job of doing just what you're talking about have been leaving tens and even hundreds and sometimes even millions of dollars in interest payments left on the table that they could have saved and use that money to invest in their families and their businesses. Do you see what I'm talking about here? Do you see why we're so passionate in the P.I.L.L method room about this? We need to recover those funds.
Sir, yes, sir.
All right, sir. Thank you so very much for coming to the stage. Do you have anything else for us?
I do not. Thank you so much. I appreciate you answering my question.
You're so welcome.
But Don has some valuable information that can contribute to the quality of a person's life. And it only costs you a few dollars. It's his book. Why not get that?
I'm going to go through the P.I.L.L method myself with some of my investment properties. So I'm going to link up with Don, and then I'm going to sit down with him, show him my investment portfolio, and see how I can eliminate interest.